Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to Washburn. Thank you to the Alumni Association. Thank you to the foundation. Thank you to Dr. Mazicek, Curtis and Keith, obviously Marshall, for inviting me today so that I can give a little bit of my story about where I came from and what led us to where we are today. I have a couple of clients in the room. You will go, I won't pick you out, but the support that the community has provided to our company and to those that work at Jones Advisory Group has been incredible. And it's just exciting to see what is going on here at Washburn and to be a part of it. And I think a lot of that is through the leadership of Dr. Mazicek. Yes, she did give me my only B at Washburn. I am still a little bit ticked off about it. Cost accounting got the best of me. It was actually when my husband and I were buying our house. I was 19 at the time, so I put a lot more effort into my extracurricular activities that semester than I did cost accounting, and it did take me down. But I still made it through and graduated summa cum laude. But I do want to thank you for pushing me, and I feel a lot of where we are today is due to what I learned and everything at Washburn.
Well, speaking about what brought you to Washburn and what do you remember most about your time here as a student?
So Washburn was always someplace that I wanted to go. Backtrack a little bit, I did go to Seaman High School. I always wanted to stay close to home. I'm one of 4 children. I have 3 brothers. I have an older brother, a twin brother, and then a younger brother. So within 3.5 years, my parents had 4 kids. They were crazy. But Washburn to me was someplace that I'm kind of a homebody, so it was easy for me to say that I wanted to stay close. So the other reason that I wanted to come to Washburn at the time, I had a boyfriend a boy. I came to Washburn for a boy. We dated all the way through junior high and high school, and he came to Washburn. He was a couple years older than me, and so by the time I was getting ready to decide where I wanted to go to school, Washburn was just it for me. I wanted to live at home. I wanted to stay at home, and so I didn't think about experiencing anything else on the Washburn campus because at that point in time I was really focused on this relationship that I had. Got into Washburn, and then we ended up breaking up. I joined a sorority, and I figured out there was a lot of things that I wanted to do in this world, and he ended up not being a part of it. So I ended up really embracing Greek life. I actually moved into the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority, and that was a fantastic time in my life. And even though I was a townie, I still got to participate and feel like I was independent from my parents. Washburn to me was someplace that I aspired to go because I knew early on that I wanted to be in business. The Brennan School of Business has shaped a lot of the foundation of who I am today, and the experiences and the drive and the ambition and all of that kind of came from my classes here at Washburn. I think when I came here, I saw a lot of non-traditional students, and I don't know that that's necessarily the case today. I think Washburn has done a really good job of promoting what campus life could look like for people in Kansas. Obviously, the different scholarships that kids can get now for living in Topeka and Shawnee County and then coming to Washburn. It's a fantastic program that you have. I ended up, once I came to Washburn, I always knew I wanted to be in business, but I really thought I wanted to do accounting. And so I did. What was great about that is that I had not only Dr. Mazicek, but I had Professor Oakrey. If you remember her, she was hard. And, I was telling Dr. Mazicek, it was kind of like, you take coal and you put it in a pressure cooker and then you end up getting a diamond. And that's kind of where I feel like I came from Washburn. It was really hard and it was a lot of work. But you come out the other side and there's so much opportunity that I've been able to take advantage of just from my relationship with Washburn. And it's not just the faculty, it's the people that I met, lifelong friends, people that were in my wedding and people that I'm still close with today. About half of our employees at Jones Advisory Group were from Washburn. And so it's been nice. We even have an Ichabod outside of our office building. So yeah, we got one of the little guys that, statues. And it's proud, it's front and center, and we're proud. When people pull up, they know that we are supporters of Washburn University, and we're happy and proud to do that.
We appreciate that very much.
Yeah, thank you.
After graduating from Washburn, you worked at Hills for a period of time. What made you decide to leave that realm and go out and hang your own shingle, start your own business?
Wow. Susie, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, because I did this, you guys, in 2008. Do you remember what was happening in the market in 2008? Yeah, the joke was your 401k was becoming a 201k. I know, kind of silly, but apropos, because, people were losing 30, 40% of their life savings. So backtrack about 2005, my husband, who had worked for Security Benefit, he also, by the way, went to Washburn, got his undergrad in finance and his master's in business. He went out on a limb and joined this group called Advisors Excel. He was their 10th, 11th employee. And what Advisors Excel does is it works with independent financial advisors all over the country and helps them build their business. And when he started there, he kept telling me, he's like, well, Megan, numbers, and I was a math geek growing up. I was president of the math club in high school. Yeah, I was that girl. And I was also a cheerleader, so I was kind of like this, I was a nerd, but also I'm a people person. So I really wanted to make sure that when I came to Washburn, I had opportunities to kind of jump in and do some different things that I'd always kind of, drove me back to being in finance in some realm. So my husband, who was working at Advisors Excel, said, you should be an advisor. And I'm like, I don't really know what advisors do. I mean, I don't know stocks or bonds or mutual funds. I don't know any of that stuff. And quite frankly, I kind of didn't even like that stuff, right? He watches it because he's in finance. So he watches it day in, day out. And he loves turning on the TV in the morning, and he watches it for a couple of hours. And I mean, I would rather just like poke my eye out. Like, that just does not sound appealing to me at all. But he said, you love numbers. Your mind kind of works in that engineering type mindset. And also, you love people. You're a people person. So at the time working at Hills Pet Nutrition, we actually, I had worked at the corporate office for a long time. I went down to the plant. I don't know if you guys even know this, but we have a dog food plant down by the river. I worked there for a couple of years. That was my favorite job, by the way. I got to wear steel-toed shoes, a little, Science Diet polo, hard hat. I got to go out on the floor. The people that worked there were fantastic. The majority of them had been there for 25 years plus. I started to cuss like a sailor. It's not a good look. But man, when you're in that type of environment, you just don't even think about it. And finally, I came home one day and my husband's like, Megan, you gotta stop. He's like, you got a bad mouth now. So I had to really, rein it in. But I loved my time there because it gave me just a different perspective. I went back to the corporate world, at which point I had to go back into wearing, regular clothes. I couldn't get by with jeans and shoes anymore. And I got to the point where I thought, I don't want to be in a cube for the next 20, 30 years. I don't know that that's going to fill my cup up. I don't know that that's going to give me the purpose that I really think God put me on this planet for. I did a good job and I enjoyed it, but I also only got the same 3% raise that the guy did down the hall, even though I was working 60, 70 hours a week. At the time, I had 2 young children. They were 2 and 4. And I thought, I can't do this for the next 30 years. I'm going to go postal and I'm going to take y'all with me, right? It just didn't fill my cup up. So when Chris finally convinced me that maybe this was something I could step into, he started giving me, coaching me in the evenings and on the weekends. And so it took him about 2 years of coaching me to where I finally decided to go and take the licensing. I quit my job at Hills with a pension and benefits and health insurance and a paycheck and all the things to start the Ichabods Advisory Group. I named it group, even though you guys know it was a group of 1. It was just me. But the goal was always that we would build it into something where my husband and I could work together because we like each other, we enjoy each other. Actually, in this world of financial planning, there's a lot of husband and wife teams, at least some of the people that we work with and that we know across the country. And so it's been a really good opportunity for us to, connect and work together. So I ended up taking the exam, and then I quit my job, and then I thought, okay, now what's next? So it was a little bit of trial and error, but I didn't take a paycheck for the first 5 years of our company. Everything I made, we just put right back into the company so that we could continue to grow it. And luckily he was making enough to support our family. And so that's kind of how we got from being an accountant into the financial planning world.
Yeah. You've touched on some of this already, but your time at Washburn, how did that shape the way you lead and serve and build relationships through your work?
Washburn University for me, there's a lot of different backgrounds of people that come to Washburn. It's not just somebody that looks just like me. I think there's a lot of diversity at Washburn. I think it's continuing to grow in diversity, which is great. Like I said before, there was a lot of non-traditional students when I went to school here. And what I took from that was the opportunity to learn from them and to get guidance and direction and glean off their expertise, because they were in the workforce. They were doing the things I needed to do. So the best thing that I can do is surround myself with people that are successful and that are innovative and that are good mentors. And so it allowed me the opportunity to learn from them. And, when Washburn, to me, those relationships that we built have carried on. My friend Amy Klotz, who is the CEO or the CFO of Advisors Excel, was here last week. We went to school together. I actually went to school with both David and Cody, and so I'm really excited about the Advisors Excel building that is going up. Actually, I love Henderson, and I get to tell a story about how my husband and I met. We actually met in the lobby of Henderson, and he walked by, and I thought, oh, who is that? That boy is very attractive, and he was a baseball player, which of course, Amanda and I were talking earlier. Baseball players tend to have a little bit of swagger to them, or at least he did, and so that was really exciting. And so, I got to meet my husband here. So I think the relationships that we've built and the opportunity to continue to see all the great things that Washburn is doing, but really it did create a drive in me to want to excel. I don't feel like maybe those first 10 years in the workforce, I did as much as I could have done. But again, when you graduate, you're just trying to figure it out. My daughters are 20 and 22, and they both are wanting to go into the financial planning world. And I told them they better, because I put their inheritance into that building still. So I'm like, you better come this way. But I switched gears when I was 30 years old. I mean, I hadn't always thought I would be an advisor. I always thought I'd be an accountant, because that's kind of how my brain works. And so Washburn taught me that it's okay to pivot. It's okay that at 20, you don't know what you're going to do with your life, and that's okay. And I tell that to my daughters all the time. I'm like, you might think today you want to be an advisor because you see, what mom does and what dad does, but that doesn't have to be your path. And it's okay if you do it for a couple of years and then decide that maybe that's not what you want to do and you want to do something different. My oldest daughter I was telling Dr. Mathachek, she is an empath. She is very emotionally charged. She takes on all of the woes of all her people in her world, her tribe, if you will. And so I could see her doing something completely different, either in psychology or maybe working with animals or something like that. Washburn gave me kind of that drive to know it's okay if I don't know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just glad that it full circle that I'm here talking to you today, and that I feel like a lot of that is due to the relationships I built here.
That's terrific. Talking about legacy a little bit, financial planning is more than income throughout retirement, and for some people it involves philanthropy and legacy giving. How do you start conversations with clients who may not be thinking about things like that?
Absolutely. So the great thing about what we do, and not all advisors or people that you meet with will have this agenda, but our agenda when we're working with families is to just sit down, and that initial visit is just, tell me about you. Tell me about what's important to you, how you live your life, how do you spend your holidays, tell me about your family. I don't know a lot of professions where you can sit down and talk to somebody and just ask them about their hopes and their dreams and their goals and things that are important to them. And I get to know our families on a very personal level. Again, that's a decision that I make. I want to be, in community with our families and be connected with them and know them and understand them. So I get to ask them about the things that are important to them. a lot of times people will tell me in that first visit that, oh, I went to Washburn, or I went to Emporia State, or I went to, KUK State, and I'd really like to give back. That's a great segue into the conversations that we get to have around, well, how could we do that? There's giving while you're living, and then there's giving when you're gone. And the two types of planning are completely different, but they work together. And so we have a couple of different estate planning attorneys that we work with. One went here to law school, Scott Tadigan, and he is part of our team now. And we talk to them about the different types of opportunities to give back. I think Washburn always, holds a special place in my heart. So when I'm talking about it, I always reference it as being Washburn, even though they might have gone to K-State or KU. But giving to Washburn could look something like qualified charitable distributions. When you have required distributions and you don't need the money, maybe you can gift it directly to Washburn. We talk about donor advised funds, which is a way to still get some tax benefit, but give, again, while you're living, and making sure it goes to things that are important to you. Not all people have the funds. Sometimes people give up their time or their talents. So it's either give up your time, your talents, or your treasures. And so early on, I didn't have the treasures, and I didn't even really have the time, but I really wanted to give back. And now that the kids are out of the house, I've got a little bit more time on my side. I have some treasures built up that we've been able to give towards Washburn. But having those conversations are a lot easier when you've done it yourself. When I was 30 and starting out, I didn't have any of those experiences. Talking to somebody about charitable giving, although I was okay at it, I wasn't as good at it as I am now. Because I have more experiences. I've helped other families through it. I've talked about what that legacy could look like and how impactful it is. And it's not just maybe your alma mater, it's things that are important to you. My parents, unfortunately, I lost when I thought they were relatively young, 72, 73, my father-in-law at 74. So it was, within 2 years and 2 months, we lost all of them. And my mom had dementia, and my father and father-in-law both had lung cancer because they were lifelong smokers. And so when I give of my time, my talents, and my treasures, I like to give to Washburn. And I also like to give to the Alzheimer's Association and cancer research, because those are things that are impactful to me. And so I think it's important when we talk with our families to know that maybe it's just 5%. Maybe it's only, 5 to 10% of the money when you're gone that you can leave. If you want to see while you're living those different types of opportunities, then, give back. And I kind of help guide them through the different ways that they can do that. I think some advisors don't have those conversations, but a lot of our families are charitably inclined. And it doesn't have to be big numbers. I think people get a little bit intimidated because they're like, well, I don't have, $50 million like friend ones do to give to Washburn. You don't have to. It could be something as simple as $100 a month. It could be something as simple as giving of your time when they have opportunities to volunteer. Just going to the different events that Washburn has, going to the games, going to the football games, taking advantage of the different, organizations that you have, the alumni organization, and just seeing, Washburn in action. That's an exciting thing to be a part of.
That's good. Clearly, you're a leader in your field and in the community. Can you share a little bit about the lessons or experiences from Washburn and how they've impacted you to lead today? And is there one pivotal moment that's something that you learned showed up in your work or in real life?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I learned here is not just technical. Yes, I learned how to do a balance sheet, and yes, I learned how to, do bookkeeping and accounting. And I learned in my master's work, we had a class on HR, and we had a class on marketing, we had a class in organizational management, and even informational systems. What's that one? Yeah, see, I don't even know how to say the word because I repel from technology. I don't even know. So I can turn on a computer and I can turn off it. And anything above that is just way above my pay grade. But I think, the technical stuff you learn is super important. I think the relationships that you build and I would say the mentorship that comes from it, from the different teachers that I had and the professors that I had. And, I was the vice president of the accounting society. Just having those types of, and I'm still friends with the guy that was the president today. And so it's those type of things that I think are really impactful. But on a pivotal scale, I think, Washburn to me allowed me to understand that there's more than just, your position and your title. There's more than just the number in your bank account. It's the experiences that you have. It's the community that you develop. It's also, people putting their trust in you. What we do is really important. You were very sweet, Susie, to say that we're a leader in our field, and we really feel like we do a really good job of financial planning. But it is more than that. It is understanding them, and it's communicating with them, and truly understanding what's important to them and their values. And I think through the understanding of what we do just fundamentally, and then watching my parents kind of go through their walk and their journey in life, that was a pivotal moment because I had been a financial planner before then. My mom and father did not have money. When my dad died, I think there was the life insurance policy that I made him buy, and about $200 in his checking account. So I didn't come from money. My dad was a roofer, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we prayed for a hailstorm. If we got a hailstorm, that was like 2 years of work for my dad. When I saw what they had to go through, my mom ended up going into a memory care unit, and I had to help assist her with going through and applying for Medicaid and getting that whole thing done. And I think that as a daughter was hard enough because I saw, my parents struggling. But going through that now, I can help my families. And so what Washburn taught me was the ability to have empathy and compassion for people, to look beyond the numbers in your bank account and to really see the person and not just, how much money they have, but, who they are. And I think now knowing and going through that process can help me better serve our families. It can help me, walk them through that and hopefully do the planning on the front end so that we don't have to get to that situation where Medicaid is even something that we have to consider. And I think a lot of that, just stems back to the foundations that I built here at Washburn.
You're very busy in your work life. How do you balance, business, and family, and legacy? How do you do it all?
Wow. I'm a lot better at it now, Susie, than I used to be. When I first started, like I said, my kids were young. They were 2 and 4 when I quit my job and started our company. And the first couple of years, the first couple months I was working at my home, I figured out I could not do that. There was a lot of other things that were pulling my attention, and I was not focusing on, growing the business. So once I finally got a office where I could go to, then it was a little bit easier. But my kids were young and they were in all the sports and all the things, and the softball and the basketball and volleyball, and then you get their friends and they want to go do stuff, and these kids, they just drain you of energy and money. But they're the best thing that I ever did. They're my most, precious treasure in my life is, my relationship with God, my husband, and then my babies, my girls. And that balance between wanting to be a good business owner, wanting to be a good advisor and a good mentor and leader for my team, and then also wanting to be there for my kids, it's a constant struggle. And I don't know how many of you out there are working parents, but you feel like you kind of suck at everything, right? When you're doing really, really good at work, I feel like I'm not doing what I need to at home. And when I'm really focusing on my girls and being there for them, then I feel like I'm not doing enough at my job. And so it's a constant struggle. And it's not just working moms, it's working dads too. So work-life balance to me means being good and putting forth the effort while you're there, but being present where you are. Like, be present where your feet are in that moment and stop trying to think about what I'm not doing. Just enjoy what you're doing. Because now I'm not the girl that makes all the cookies and, is the ring mother. That's not me. I'm the one that sends, the napkins along to the different events, because that's easy. I could just grab them from the pantry. But I did go to the events. I always showed up at the Christmas parties or the Valentine's things. I always watched the kids in Halloween do their little parade. And what was great about having my own business is that I was able to adjust and, accommodate the timing of when those things needed to happen so I could be present and be there. Not saying I was always the best at it, but I showed up. And my husband ended up taking about 4 years off. I called it his midlife retirement. So he left Advisors Excel in 2016 and then, 2012, and then didn't start really being fully in the business until 2016. So those 4 years, he was kind of the house mom. He took the kids where they needed to go. He took them to the doctor's appointments. He was the one that made dinner and kept the house going, and tried to figure out now how I can get him back. Because I don't cook, my husband cooks. So I'm like, you need to feed me. I can't do DoorDash one more day. Although we do have people now that I think kind of know our house, because we force DoorDash a lot there. Anyway, I should buy stock in DoorDash because it's we take advantage of it. But balance is hard, and I think it's something that especially people that are entrepreneurs and that want to do good in their job, but also have a family and they want to do good there, we'll always have that struggle, that balance between the two. Now that they're older, it's a little bit easier, but you have to think about the things that are important to you and where you want to put your time, because that's the one thing that God gives us. We are all equal when it comes to how much time we have. Nobody has more than 24 hours in a day. And so where do you want to spend that time? Do you want to spend it in things that you are passionate about? We went yesterday to Speak Country Club and spoke to the Kansas CPA Northeast chapter. And as we were leaving, one of my advisors, Madeline, who was a CPA and a CFP, they asked if she wanted to join their group. And they were even saying, hey, we have a vice president position open. And she's a young mom. She has a 7-year-old daughter, Blair. And she said, on the way home, she said, this is what they asked me to do. And I said, well, Madeline, is that something that's important to you? And she goes, well, I mean, it would be great for my resume. And I said, let's stop. First of all, you have a job with me, so don't get out of your own. Are you planning on going anywhere? But I said, right now, it's okay to be selfish with your time. It's okay to be selfish with just you and Ryan, your husband, and baby Blair. And there will come time in the future where you can make those different sacrifices with your time and join different organizations, but it's okay to just focus on you right now. Now I'm at the time where I can be, a little bit more free with my time, just because I don't have basketball games and, scrimmages to go to and that sort of thing.
Well, for those in attendance today, what is the most important takeaway from our conversation this morning? What's the one thing that you'd like them to go home and tell all the friends about?
I would tell the students that are here, number one, thank you for coming. You didn't have to get up so early and make it to a, Ichabods of Industry conversation. So I applaud you for taking time out of your busy day to come. For the students, I would say the struggles that you go through and the tunnel of chaos sometimes that you have to go through to get to the other side makes you better. It gives you your foundation. It molds you into who you are. And it's okay if you graduate knowing that you don't know, and that's okay. For the alumni in the room, I would say thank you for your support of Washburn. I think it's a great opportunity for us to continue to give back. And with Dr. Maschek's, at the helm leading this ship, I'm excited to see where we go. So thank you for your support and continue to do so. And then for Washburn employees and the people that work at Washburn, I would say thank you for what you do, because I don't know anywhere else that it's maybe sometimes a thankless job. You are building tomorrow's leaders, which is a little bit of a cliche, but that's what you're doing. We could decide to go to anywhere for college. I actually, growing up, always thought, I'm going to go to Princeton or Yale or Harvard. I don't know, I thought that would be great to go to Princeton or Yale or Harvard. But at the time, I didn't even know where those schools were, by the way. I still don't know if I know where they all are, because geography is not my thing. But when I look back, I think Washburn was the best opportunity that I could have taken advantage of. The faculty are endearing, and they're motivated, and they care. My professors knew my name. I connected with them in a way that I don't know that you see that in every school. My daughters both go to K-State. I wanted them to go to Washburn. They took their senior year in high school. They all came here and did the leadership program. So they all took 9 hours here. They loved their time at Washburn, but they inevitably went to K-State. My daughter calls me the other day and she said, Mom, I'm so frustrated with my class. And I said, well, what class is it? And she goes, well, it was an investments class. And she said, there's a TA that's my teacher. I don't understand what she's saying because she's not a native, English-speaking person. And not to mention, she just graduated last year. She's never taught before. She's hardly ever there. A lot of times she records her, speeches or, conversation and just airs it for the kids. And she said, I don't feel like I'm learning, and I feel like I'm really struggling in this class. And so I never got that. Never once did I have a TA that came in and taught my class. My class were actually taught by the professors that Washburn paid to come in and teach me, and they taught me, and they taught me well. And so that's something you're going to get from Washburn that you might not get from another school. And so I'm really excited about just the future of Washburn and the opportunity that you guys gave me and my family. It's a great support, and I'm just excited for the future. So thank you for the opportunity to talk with me today.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open it up for questions. Is there anybody in the audience that has questions that they'd like to?
Come on, make it embarrassing. Fish will grow. Oh, Bill. Hi, Bill.
You're math club, and I know you're kind of a math nerd.
I know.
So while you were questioning, what wild things did you correct with actually?
Okay, that's a great question. Something wild that I did at Washburn. Okay, so like I told you before, I went into the Greek life. I was a Zeta Tau Alpha, which I loved. And my freshman year, we were in homecoming week, and each sorority and fraternity had to nominate somebody to be like their queen or king. It was a Greek theme at the time, and so we all got our togas on, and we made this little chase lounge thing, and I was the queen that they got to carry in, and we won. And so I thought that was always kind of exciting that I got to be queen, and I don't know, I don't even know.
Queen for a day?
Queen for a day, maybe? Let's see. That's not really as wild as what you're talking about. See me afterwards, and I can tell you about some other things that I can't say. This is being recorded, so.
The statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations are done, right? Okay.
Anybody else out there? Question.
Dr. Manchek. Hi.
We've been through some really tough financial times, and what have you found in years? You've seen several in your career. What are the things that are most important when you talk with families and maybe help them get through the psychology of some of those tough times in the stock market?
Thank you. What a great question, Dr. Mazachek. So, we all know what happened in 2008. We had some, tough times along the way. There's been some intermediary pullbacks. We had COVID right in 2020. 2022 was a really rough year. Both we had stocks and bonds both fall, which is only happened 3 times in the history of the stock market. But relatively speaking, even though there's been some mid-range volatility, the market's done really well since 2008 with the big financial crisis. And what I would say with our families is that helping them understand that diversification is the most important thing that we can do, because most of the time, by the time you get to retirement, you've got most of the time your debt paid off, and what you've accumulated needs to just provide income to you for the rest of your life. And growth at all costs isn't the name of the game anymore. It's preservation. It's making sure that you don't become a burden on your family. And how we do that is keeping our wits about us when the market does get volatile. I mean, we've seen a lot of ups and downs over these last couple of years, not to mention the tariffs. So the stock market in April dropped 15%, right? Well, now the stock market, stock market, general S&P 500, all large cap companies, we're up 16, 17%. A 30% swing in 1 year, and actually in the matter of months, is not normal. But unfortunately, normal has gone out the window, and it has become more of a normal situation. So what I would say is, if we take advantage of some of the opportunity, don't get so excited when the market goes up or down, because that's just the nature of the market. We need the consistency over time, and most of our retirees don't need 22% to make their plan work. They just need some consistency as far as rates of return. The psychology behind it is helping people understand that growth at all costs is not the name of the game anymore. It was while you were building your wealth, putting into your 401k and just chucking it away. But when you get to that point where you've amassed your wealth and you've retired and you've now decided that retirement is something that you want to go forward with, just making sure that you live your life and enjoy some of those monies, I think, is really important. We talk to our families about the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the won't-go. I'm okay if my family spend more of their wealth in the go-go years, because I don't know what slow-go and go-go might look like for you. I mean, my parents passed away young, right? And had they waited until 70 to turn on Social Security and start enjoying life, they would have only had a couple of years. So helping them, you know what else? It's funny. You have to almost give people permission to spend their own money, because we've ingrained ourselves that saving is the most important thing. And that's true. It's important while you're working, you need to save, because eventually you're going to retire. And at least for my younger families, we're not going to have Social Security in the way that we did today. There's no pensions like there used to be for our families. So your retirement is going to be solely predicated on how good you did saving during your working years. That transition into retirement is really difficult for people because they don't want to spend their money. They're so ingrained in saving and growing it that that's still what their psychology tells them and what their methodology is. And so you almost have to show them, if you were to do that, if you were to spend your money, then this is what it would look like going forward. And it's almost like I have to give them permission to spend their own money. I'm really good at it, by the way. Helping people spend their money. Come and see me. I will help you spend it. Yeah.
Look at it while you're walking over there. Right, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you find that your clients are more younger people starting earlier on this? You know, I remember in school that, you know, the compounding interest. If you just put away this, you know, when you're in college, then it's going to compound. You're going to have all this money at retirement. But
yeah,
you know, you're just freshly out of college and you're just starting to work and you don't have the money to save. And
that is such a great question, Susie, because when you graduate, you have so many pressures on every dollar that you make. You want to spend some of it, you want to save some of it. You've got your own debt and school loans that you got to pay off. Heaven forbid, you've got children too that you need to, you know, pay through. And so there's so many different ways and pressures on every dollar that you make. What I would say is when I first started, it was just me. And even, you know, 10 years ago, there was me and 2 employees. So we only had 3 people and we couldn't help as many people as we wanted to. Now we're more robust. We've got 28 people on staff. It allows us to help more people. And so now we've transitioned to just helping people in retirement, or people as that transition happens. And by the way, the reason that you focus so much on retirement is, guys, they're the ones with the money, right? But they're also the ones that need help. They need help making that transition from my 401k to now what's next. Because a 401k isn't built to pay your paycheck like retirement planning does. And so we've transitioned from just helping people in that retirement world to helping their kids, or even helping, you know, people just graduating from college. And the conversations we have with them is different. You shouldn't be investing at 20 like you're doing at 60, right? There should be a difference, and the conversations are different. I also think it's the nature of spending. We have a society, and a lot of you probably have parents or family members or yourselves that, you know, you lived through the Great Depression. You saved a lot more because you saw really lean times. I mean, I know my grandma used to save her tinfoil. She would use it, and then she'd fold it back up and put it in her pantry. I remember opening up her refrigerator, the Frigidaire, is what she called it, and everything was a Betty Crocker container, because that's the butter that she used, and she would keep the butter containers afterwards and use them as her Tupperware. But they went through lean times, and so that's a time frame. That's what they saw. Right. And now the kids that are graduating, they haven't seen those lean times. They've seen from 2009, when the market started taking off, through now. They haven't really seen anything like a Great Depression. And on average, people now spend $1.20 for every dollar that they make. Whereas before, the retirees, for every dollar you make, you saved 20 cents and then spent the rest. So it's just a shift in how people are managing their finances. And we've got to get to them earlier. I've gone to Washburn to speak. I've been to almost every single high school to speak to their students about managing your finances and understanding what to do. These are classes that you might get a quick bookkeeping class in high school, but they don't teach you some of the other things. They don't teach you what a Roth IRA is and how to manage, and what a 401k can look like, and how that compounding interest can be important. We started teaching our daughters really young, like, if they got money from allowance, they had to put some of it in a piggy bank for savings. They had to take 10% and put it into another piggy bank for tithing that we gave back to their church. And then they had to put another 20 or 30% back into another piggy bank, if you will, for taxes. So we started teaching our kids about taxes when they were like 10. So now they actually understand it. My daughters now have over I mean, they have more in their Roth IRAs than a lot of people that I see walking in my office. So teaching them young, I think, is paramount. And we've done a really good job of now transitioning to our families' children. And so we're having, with our new building, it's a lot bigger. We have an event space called the Trust Center, and we can fit about 100 people in there. So now we're starting to use that space for different types of organizations can use it. Our clients can use it for different events. So we've had baby showers there and graduation parties there. And I do my seminars and different speaking events there. But we want to open that up to our families' children for them to come and start learning about what we do and who we are. And again, if you could start, the best time to start is now. And it's never too late. So I think that's a great opportunity. But talk to your kids about it. I don't know why finances need to be a taboo conversation. It used to be people don't want to talk about their money. You don't have to tell your kids exactly what you have, but you better be talking to them about where it is and what's important to you. Because when my parents were gone, they didn't have money, but it was hard enough for me to go in and figure out, where was the mortgage, and did they have a safety deposit box anywhere, and even just going in and turning in the Cox cable box and all. It took a lot of time, and they didn't have funds. So imagine if your family comes in once you're gone and you don't have it organized for them. It's going to be a full-time job for them just to manage your estate. So taking advantage of that now, I think, is really important.
Angela, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
That's okay. My name is Angela. I work in career engagement here on campus, also an alum. So what would your advice be to the young students? We get a lot of students coming into our office about they're wanting to get, experience with internships and things like that. So what advice would you give young people about either internships or getting some of those experience before they graduate and get into the work field?
Thank you so much, Angela, for that question, because we do a really good job, I think, at JAG with hiring interns. So we've come to the career fair here multiple times. Actually, Paige in our office came from the career fair. A handful of other people that work for us all came from the career fair at Washburn. I think that it's not just the internships, but it's maybe even going and shadowing somebody in the industry that you're focused on. So we had somebody come in the other day who is a child of my pastor, and he's thinking about getting out of his current employment, and he's looking at maybe doing something in financial planning. I said, why don't you just come in and shadow me for a day? See what I do. See what it looks like in a meeting. See what the staff, talk to the staff. Just look at and see what does it look like as a financial advisor. Is it even something that might excite you? So what I would say is find somebody in your field that might be open to having you come in, have them sign the NDA and the, confidentiality agreement and all that other stuff. But that's going to give them a lot more insight into, is this something that I really think I might want to do long term? And I wish somebody had let me do that, because I would have probably not done some of the things that I did along the way had I known exactly, what I'm doing now. But I think that would be a great opportunity for them, along with the internships, which I think is paramount. It's it does give you a little bit longer, more in-depth opportunity to see, is that something that you want to do? No, great question.
Other questions?
You can start taking it easy on me. Did somebody pay you off?
You get to teach a couple of classes after this.
Do I get to teach? Yes.
Guest lecture or something? I don't know. I assume that you're in college or two while you're here. Well, I think we'll wrap things up with Megan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.